like and subscribe. What careers seem promising, but are actually traps that people consistently waste their education opportunities on, either due to oversaturation or misconception? Conversely, what are some careers that are often overlooked but unexpectedly lucrative? Trap: veterinarian, debt of MD, but fraction of the salary. Works if you don't have to pay for college and vet school, but not really logical if you do. After reading through this thread, I am gonna conclude all jobs are traps. Oversaturated, I'd have to say. On a serious note, is most definitely real estate. At least a month ago, in the US, there were more real estate agents. https://appnews.com/article/prices home prices lifestyle health coronavirus pandemic F07-2FBF01D5 F9E4 C27,792,810 C69E7B, then homes for sale, per the CEO of Redfin. Funeral business is where it is at. Very lucrative, and your customers don't know it, complain or slap you. Trap: lawyer. Correct. Source: lawyer. Any video game career. I wouldn't say any specialized degree is a waste, but it's completely unnecessary. Jobs are super competitive, so breaking in W/out experience is hard, and there's more and more candidates every year. One company I worked for said they rejected 5,000 resumes for a position they posted. If you are talented to get a job, you're talented enough to make 2x more outside gaming. Stress, burnout, and divorce are super common. Pharmacy and law seem to be big traps right now due to oversaturation. A lot of new grads not able to get work. A lot of non-profits rely on your desire to do meaningful work to get away with some pretty exploitative labor practices. I am sure it depends though, because that is a really broad category. Probably about any kind of artist, but in particular 3D, CG, artist. Tons of art schools popped up selling degrees to be a video game artist or a chance to be an animator at Disney or something. Ended up oversaturating the market with low quality portfolios that had no chance of ever getting into a major studio. Janitors make more money than you might think, especially if they are union. The janitor at my Pizza Elementary School was a happy guy. Downside, you will have to clean up vomit and pee. Upside, all the kids loved him. He got handmade birthday cards, was thanked at every assembly. He gets a sweet pension too. Working as an EMT or paramedic. The work is rewarding, but most companies are private and pay dog. Most of your money will be made on overtime, which is mostly forced due to understaffing. I did it for 6 years and completely burned out due to being overworked. Now getting picked up by an FD or a state/city run ends program is different and better in my opinion, but most people get stuck at a private company for too long. Trap: film and TV. Constant fear of job loss. Marriages never survive. The hours are bad. Stress is high, and many colleagues are unbearable self-important morons who consider themselves very special artistic geniuses because they hung lights on Freddy Got Fingered or directed an episode of some house flipping show. Better public sector communications. Great pay, good pension and manageable workload. A bit dull, not very creative, lots of frustrating bureaucracy and indecision, but you can find pockets of interesting people and work a few times a year. It can also be meaningful and impactful work depending where you are. Having come from the private sector, what the public sector consider crazy busy is quite light. Yoga teacher. I'm still doing my yoga teacher training, but it is basically an MLM. I'm gonna be the one to shoot the Reddit building trades plane down and say many trades aren't always that great. My whole family were electricians and plumbers, good ones, and they usually topped out in the 50k range for a mid-sized southern town. The ones who did make bank were busy all the time. I just lost a cousin to addiction, fueled by his career, an uncle who died of a heart attack at 47. A whole slew of family members with joint and muscle problems. I think the only one who's doing well financially and physically is my other uncle, who started working in the supply side and sells pipes and wires to factories. Teaching in university/college. You have to do a PhD minimum, and consistently churn out new research materials. You have invested over a decade getting all the degrees, but jobs are scarce, so you end up being a temporary faculty for a few more years, doing the same or more amount of work for a fraction of the pay. At least, this is how it is in my country. Trap architect. Source architect. Scientist feels like an expensive, low-paying trap, unless you are truly passionate about research. The trap, art students of any sort. I got a bachelor plus masters, but it don't mean. Cause the paper itself is worthless, and in most art schools you're basically *GUARANTED* to get your paper. There's no now you're not good enough to achieve it. You just do. You're almost buying it at this point. Unless you're actually super talented and worked your off to have a high skill level, and are constantly working and posting, you might as well use your diploma as toilet paper. It's not easy either. You don't just draw like 95% of the people think and become famous. The pro of it, furry porn. Just draw furry porn. You don't even need to be really good, as long as you accept a wide berth of fetish stuff to draw. It pays insanely well, and I've seen artists quit better jobs to settle for this instead, because of how much easier, less stressful and carefree drawing inflation diaper cubs was. I myself am currently debating to take up my markers again and just start doing furry stuff on the side for the extra pocket change. Carpentry seems to be good. I know two families where the dad is a carpenter. One is specialized in doing structural work like wooden beams for house roofs and so on. The other combined it with a love for art history and went into the restoration of antique furniture. Both are their own boss, both are financially stable, own their own houses, provide their families, etc. When you have enough money saved up, you can also very effectively flip houses, because you can do so much of the work on your own. Painting houses honestly. The market is constantly saturated with cheap workers, so if you can get a reputation for quality work you can make a pretty penny. Any city, state, county, federal job that is union. Get on the gravy train young, and when the opportunity arises, and it will, take the new job advancement. The pay rate usually has generous raises and good benefit plans. You can enjoy a good life while you are working, and a great retirement. The biggest scam is being a qualified librarian. For terrible pay, organizations want you to have a flipping master's in library science. If the jobs paid more, it would make sense, but it's absolutely ridiculous. Even worse, because you can sneak your way into being a librarian other ways and still be paid what qualified people are paid. There are always exceptions. Don't be a chef. If you insist on being a chef, don't go to culinary school. It's a waste of time and nothing you learn translates into real-world kitchen knowledge. If you only plan to work in a restaurant, don't go to culinary school. The only reason you would go is connections to higher-end places. Those places usually go to people with actual professional experience though. Don't be fooled into thinking that, just because it's fine dining, that they'll treat you better. I've worked in fine dining, and in fast casual. They both pay like and offer no benefits. In fact, fine dining actually pays less a lot of the time, because of their stupid contracts. You're basically there for the honor of working there. Last time I worked fine dining I almost committed suicide in the walk-in. They knew and sent me home instead of calling a 5150. Thankfully, someone was home to stop me from hurting myself. There's corporate, but it's boring as. And it's typically just as bad as a mom and pop. I know from experience. They have hours, but who do you go to when it's the hour person that's sexually harassing you or berating you? There's so much I hate about this industry now. The drugs, the drinking, the sexual harassment. The discrimination, the pay, the lack of benefits, the hours, etc. Oh god, the hours. They're like the work you just under full time, so they don't have to provide benefits, or if your salary you're worked like 60 plus a week, and they'll find a way to not pay you overtime. They always find a way to screw you out of your overtime, or even your lunch break. I've lost count of the amount of times I've worked through my lunch break. Oh, and you're not allowed to make your own food until after you clock out for your lunch break. You better hope there isn't a sudden rush, because your food will be used for an order. Sometimes I would get no food because of this. I'm not even going to get started on being a cook during COVID. It was horrible. It wasn't what made me quit though. What made me throw in the towel was after COVID. I was excited to go back to work, but then I saw what every restaurant was offering. No increase in pay, no increase in benefits, and worse hours and workload, because of the labor shortage. I just didn't see the point. If an apocalypse isn't going to change anything, then nothing will. I decided a little over a month ago that I'm done. I'm going back to school to get a real degree and a real job. Remember, for every Thomas Keller, there's 1,000 lowly line cooks destroying their bodies just to barely scrape by. TL. Doctor, don't be a chef or a cook. It sucks. Trap, stripper. Overlooked, strip club staff. I know you don't need a degree, but if I had $1 for every girl that thought stripping was it. Wait, I do have $1 for every girl. Cause I stayed on the staff side. You have more responsibility than dancing, but if you get some management, or accounting or business training, you can move right up to MGMT quickly. Most people running a club do not have a formal education. They're just doing what seems best, which can turn into who knows what. If you are professional, sober, not trying to sleep with the girls, and competent in the actual work, you're a unicorn. The hours are crazy and people are crazy, but the money is great. And I feel like it's so much more honest than a lot of corporate BS. I sat through in vanilla jobs. A really well-run club is a beautiful thing. Also the trades, and other service work like hairdressers and house cleaners. You can make right under 6 figures, if you work for yourself, and can handle people well. These are both hard on the lungs though over time, if you don't mask, and ventilate well when working with chemicals. You can go to 4 years of college, take a $300 plus exam, spend thousands on applying to, and interviewing at medical schools, get accepted, go through 4 years of medical school, average student debt, $200,000, then never practice medicine, or receive a physician's salary. Because you did not match into a residency program. You still have to pay off all that debt though. Edit. Here is an article about how students that attended Caribbean med schools are struggling. https://www.nightimes.com/2006/29/health/Caribbean Medical School. HTML. Edit 2. Another net article on doctors not matching. https://www.nightimes.com/2021/02/19/health/medical school residency doctors. HTML. Trap, therapist/counselor. Surprisingly lucrative, school psychologist. If you are interested in being a school psych, feel free to reach out, especially if you are an undergrad psych major. Trap, teacher. Yeah, it is nice to have summers off, but working 7 AM to 7 PM every day plus a few hours on the weekends, just to make $50K a year. Not to mention dealing with a bunch of whiny parents that don't give a crap about their children's education. Source, teacher. Psychology. I have 6 years of school and I'll need more to get to my end goal. Trap, graphic design. Surprisingly lucrative, plumber, HVAC, electrician, diesel mechanic, machinist. Source, my family. Read a lot of the comments. Here's the actual situation. 1. Every bit of education you get can be useful. It just may not be useful in the way you expected. 2. Education costs way too much. At the rate we pay for education, the results need to set a really high bar. 3. Not all jobs are in *YOUR* area. That said. 3. Every field has a skill distribution. Getting a degree puts you on that distribution, and not an outlier, on the low skill end. But every skill has a demand. You can imagine this distribution being like a normal curve, where the top, let's say 80% get jobs reliably in one field, or 1% in another. Some examples might be, if you want to be a professional flautist, you need to be in the 0.1% skill distribution. If you want to be a professional artist, maybe 5-20% depending what you are working on. For technical fields, today, if you have any skill in that field, even if it's not formal training, you can be successful, so it's basically 95-100%. For engineering I would estimate 80-90%. If you have an engineering degree, it's hard not to just sort of get a job, since people are calling you all the time like, hey, do you like money? For liberal arts, which by the way, the idea that lots of people get liberal arts degrees, because they are easy, and then can't find employment is a myth. People just don't get liberal arts degrees, it's something like 0.5-1% of grads having only that degree. It's probably like 20%. Prepare to Starbucks. Some conclusions from the above. 1. Trade schools are quite viable due to 2 above. They are much cheaper and still lucrative, and per 3, the skill distribution is such that there is a high demand. This makes it low risk, for now. 2. If you pick something with a high skill distribution, be prepared to work hard to make it happen. If you want to be in the NFL, you need to be in the top 1% of 1%. That's just the way it is, that's the nature of the situation. 3. Finding the skill distribution, really understanding it, for a given area, and understanding the subfields within an area, areas of law for a lawyer, is an acquired skill itself. The Gov can provide some insight, and it's not an exact science. 4. Just because your field of choice has a low skill distribution, doesn't mean you shouldn't try to be the best in your field. For earnings and security measures. I've done a lot of thinking about job markets and this is the perspective I have. However you want to visualize it, that's up to you. Eventually this is the way I will describe it to my son, hopefully with some contextual understanding of the skill fields. Surprisingly lucrative, travel agent / rewarding. So the internet has essentially allowed everyone and their mother to make up their own holiday. What the internet doesn't tell you is that the average person spends 3 working days planning / booking their holiday. Rich folk don't want to waste their time on that. Smarter upper middle class families also realize the time saving. So now I work from home putting together fancy holidays for people who have reached a stage in their life where their free time is much more important to them. Semicolon. Bonus, free or heavily discounted holidays. Information technology. It's less that you can't find work, but you never find work at your level, and everywhere I've ever worked, outside of the military wherein I got experience doing incredibly high level engineering work, has people who only half know what they are doing. We are talking mistakes that someone on the lower levels of it should be making. The jobs you then wind up getting will have bosses getting angry at you over things you couldn't possibly know, like how the network is structured, while at the same time refusing to give you network maps. Grass taxonomists are almost entirely unheard of, and very well paid. Edit, holy. I googled it, and it's even crazier than you think. No wonder they're well paid, you need them mophos, since grass is in like everything we eat. I just found out that sugarcane, bamboo, oat, wheat, rice, barley, and rye are all in subfamilies of grass. I read that as taxidermist, which made for a very confusing 30 seconds. Overlooked, mining engineer. Basically worldwide there are not enough graduates in this field, given the current boom. In Australia we were basically poaching all the grads from overseas that we could, though obviously COVID has put a break on that presently. Coal mining is slowly dying worldwide both for environmental and economic reasons, so I would recommend going to an university/mining school that focuses more on metalliferous mining. I have never worked in coal, but my impression was that it was generally technically boring anyway. Before COVID I was making £500 a day chasing rodents out of restaurants. You need some basic DIY skills and common sense. There is probably a lot more pay if you go self-employed and are good at marketing. Journalist. I started bartending in college to pay for the degree. Got it. I'm still a bartender. You don't make money writing until you die. Or unless you your boss. I had no interest in television news, so that was out. Plus, I live in DC. I got tired of the grind real quick. Me a 14-year-old becoming sadder with every comment as everything remotely interesting to me is named. Overlooked, water treatment field. Very lucrative field considering literally every person and business uses it. Requirements for becoming a treatment operator differ by state, but typically require taking some classes and getting a license then on-job training. Many places will hire you as an OIT operator in training and pay for your classes while you learn the system. Starting pay in my area in R is $15/HR with yearly increases. If I could go back I would have started after high school instead of going to college. Trap, biotech and biotechnology. Long hours, low pay, most of the work is extremely dull and monotonous relative to what I thought science was, not much in the way of transferable skills. Law in Australia. Don't do what I did and study law in this country. I graduated with distinction average grades, and in this oversaturated market I wish I could get those hours from the library back. The legal field is in this country. The job market is so saturated, and even if you get hired it is for peanuts. You've been visited by the ghost of a very important man. Pay your respects by liking and subscribing, and he'll grant you 3 weeks of good luck.